Welcome back to the show. Of course, we are continuing our tour across the Concho Valley, and today we are going to bring on head coach of the Grape Creek Eagles. It's Coach Tanner Thiel. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Can't complain. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about football, but first I want to bring in my my other co-hosts here. We got James Bellini and Ryan Chadwick, guys. It's football season's approaching faster than ever. Are you guys excited?
To me, it's not approaching fast enough. Like, we're in that summer lull, and I'm just like, I need
talking about
sports.
Football season's approaching, man. It's already here. We're already in football.
Well, here at Cover1, we'll always keep football as a talking point, so make sure that you stay tuned. So we'll start as always. We just want to bring you in, Coach. First, I'll give you the opening word. How excited are you about this upcoming season?
Very excited. We kind of struggled this last year. We kind of had some setbacks, and so it's always nice, when you can start fresh and have a new year. And we feel, as a coaching staff, we're really excited about this new group that we have coming in. We have a JV group last year that went 8-2, and so we're going to ask several of those kids off that JV group to step up and move up to varsity. And so far, the summer workouts and strength and conditioning and stuff like that, we've had really good numbers. And this senior group that are going to be seniors this next year have done a great job from a leadership standpoint on coming in and showing these younger guys, kind of what we expect as far as work ethic and commitment and things like that. So overall, we're excited for a new year and a fresh start.
All right, Coach, you kind of just to feed into that, like, talk about your senior group, and you said your freshman group's really athletic. You're really young. Talk about that just a little bit.
Yes, sir.
The specific classes.
No, absolutely. We're going to be very young next year. We're probably only going to have about 5 or 6 seniors. The rest will be made up of underclassmen, and our freshman class this last year, really big class. A lot of them. Very active in athletics and football in particular. And so, like I said, we had a JV that went 8-2 this year, and it was made up probably about 75% freshmen. We had a few sophomores in there, but for the most part, we're going 8-2 and playing people's JVs with basically a freshman group. And so we're going to ask a bunch of those kids as sophomores to kind of step into some pretty important roles on varsity next year.
It's always good when you have a JV, and when you actually have a JV who can go out and play that way. They get that experience that's needed instead of just standing on the side.
Especially rambling off 8 wins.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, that's always a good thing when you
Absolutely.
when you can feel the JV.
And it's
like
not
that.
something that at Grape Creek that we've had in the past. We've being a smaller 3A school, my first couple of years at Grape Creek, we struggled to keep a JV together. Usually by about mid-year, we'd have to move them up, whether due to injuries or grades or just attrition. And so this was a great year because we were able to keep all those freshmen down on JV and keep them together and give them a little bit of taste of success to where now they're kind of excited for that next step.
Right. Yeah. All right, Coach, let's get into just last season just a little bit. Obviously, didn't go how, like, I'm sure you wanted to, like no matter what, it was injuries or whatever, And James and I know, like, we were a part of very bad football teams our senior year, specifically. Yeah, just 0-10, a Central team 0-10 over here too. So, what do you as the head coach say to those kids whenever you've had a bad year, you're going to the next one? Like, how do you not only keep them showing up, but keep them motivated to like say, hey, this storm will pass?
Right. Especially, it's especially hard coming off, the year before we won our first district championship in the history of the school, and then you turn around and you go 0-10. Obviously that's not how you want to follow up a season like that. And we can talk about we had a lot of things outside of our control that happened last year. However you want to spin it, it is what it is. It happened, and we had some really good seniors last year that just it's just kind of the way the ball bounces sometimes. It was not in our cards last year, and it's, it doesn't say anything about the kids that we put out there. The kids that we put out there, they worked their tails off. We just, we couldn't seem to find that same fit that we had the year before. So, coming off a season like that, talking to these younger guys, it's kind of one of those deals where you get that bad taste in your mouth and you don't want to experience that again. And so it kind of made these younger guys that were on varsity last year that are returning, it kind of gave them extra motivation going into the off season on, hey, I need to work a little bit harder in the weight room. I need to work a little bit harder out on the track. This summer is going to mean a lot because I don't want to go through that again. So we haven't really struggled much finding motivation for those guys. They're motivated within themselves because they don't want to go through a season like that again.
So it's almost more internal than it is external coming
Correct.
From you at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is awesome to hear.
Like I said, as coaches, we can tell them, you need to do this and this and this, but I think them experiencing that and their takeaway from it is, man, we don't want to go through that again. Let's do everything within our power not to have an experience like that, our senior year or as juniors or as sophomores.
Yeah,
so,
and then that 8-2 JV team, they're not used to losing, so
Right.
they don't want to start that I guess trend. I guess you could say.
Right. No, absolutely. So it was kind of, like I said, in a way, this spring was kind of it was a fresh start for a lot of them because we put last season's season behind us and we started, basically right after Christmas with, okay, it's a new season. We're going to learn from what didn't work last year. We're going to improve upon that, and let's just get to work and get ready for next year.
All right, Coach. So let's move on from last season. And let's go into this next season. There are you said there's going to be a lot of younger kids who are going to be playing a lot of minutes. So who are some of these guys? Let's go ahead and start talking names. Of course, who's going to be starting as quarterback, who's going to be your number one receiver, your best offensive option, whatever it may be. Just give us a list of names of just some people who we need to be watching for this next year.
All right. Well, we've got a couple kids. We had 26 on varsity last year. We had 13 seniors. We got 13 returning. And like I said, we've got probably about half of our JV will move up. As far as returning, letterman, Colton Rumsey is going to be a senior this year, and his name has been called a lot. He's played for us. Basically, first game his freshman year, it was COVID year, and we ended up not having a JV that year. And so everybody, he was a freshman. Everybody was thrown together. I want to say we had about 32 or 33 kids total playing football that COVID year. And we go over to Stanton, and we're playing. We run a 3-4 on defense, and I can't even remember who we have that's playing nose guard is not having a good game, and our DCs turned around and just kind of looking for. They throw Colton Rumsey out there as a freshman, and he just absolutely kills it.
Gotta love that.
And hasn't. I mean, he just it's been his spot since then.
There you go.
And so his freshman, sophomore, and junior year, he's been our starting nose guard. Well, this year we're going to move him out to outside linebacker, and he's been doing that this spring and this summer, and has looked. He's kind of slimmed down. When he was freshman and sophomore and junior year, he knew, okay, I'm playing nose. I've got to put on some weight, and stuff like that. Well, this spring he's slimmed down and he's been out on the track and in the weight room and looks really, really good. And so he's going to move out to an outside linebacker spot. And offensively, he's been kind of a Swiss Army knife for us too, because he started for us on the offensive line as a sophomore. Last year as a junior, we moved him to fullback. He's our top returning rusher as a fullback, and we're going to move him to tailback this next year because he's kind of a bruiser. He's a kid
Yeah,
that
you
that
had
doesn't
a
shy
tank.
away from contact.
You had a tank, you put him at fullback, and it's like the fridge. You're running right through there. But now he slimmed down, plays outside linebacker,
Right.
and now he's your tailback.
Right, and
That's-
we kind of
Somebody who
pride
doesn't
ourselves
miss
on
contact.
physicality, and he's
Yeah.
a kid that he checks all the boxes when it comes to stuff like that. So Colton Rumsey's back; he's going to be a senior. We're going to lean pretty heavily on him. Our other seniors we have coming back, Braden Winans. He started the last 2 years at center for us, and it's kind of the same thing. We've got this JV that we have coming up. We have some size, and Colton and Braden have had to fill in offensive line, defensive line wise for us because here the last couple of years we haven't had much size. Well, we've actually got some pretty decent sized kids coming up from this JV, and so Braden has started at center for us the last 2 years, and he's actually one of our more athletic kids, and so we're going to move him to tight end next year. And it's funny because our center probably has some of the best hands on our team, but because of limitations as far as size and stuff like that, we've had to play him at center the last 2 years. So Braden is going to kind of add a different element to our offense. Gavin Guerra is going to be a senior, and he started at middle linebacker for us last year. We're going to move him into the backfield, give him the ball a little bit this next year. But from a leadership standpoint, those three guys, as far as senior leadership, they've been great this spring and this summer. Kind of the kids kind of rally around them, and they've done a great job as far as taking these younger kids under their wing and showing them how things should be done. As far as those JV kids, those younger kids, Buddha Scotty, and he's got a great name. His name is Braden, but he goes by Buddha, and he's a state qualifier in powerlifting, and he's played some linebacker, he's played some offensive line. It's funny because we play him at offensive line, and he's 5'6", 150 pounds.
Oh, wow.
But he, pound for pound, is the strongest kid we have in the program. Like I said, he's got a really good chance at winning state next year in powerlifting. And so he's another one of those kids. We're going to move him to fullback and let him run with the ball a little bit. And
it's going to be him, the strongest guy, and then you got, of course, Braden right behind him. So that's going to be pretty
yeah,
scary.
no, we're hoping to kind of pound the rock quite a bit next year because we got some size up front. We've got some kids that don't shy away from contact, and but Buddha's going to do really good things for us. He's going to be a junior next year. Grayson Bond is another one. He's played O-line. He started for us off and on since his freshman year, and he's another one of those kids that is he's tough. He's kind of got a little bit of a mean streak to him. He's great in the weight room, so he'll be an offensive, defensive line guy for us. He'll just be a junior next year. As far as those freshmen going to be sophomores, Sire Garcia was our starting middle linebacker on the JV, and he'll play middle linebacker. He'll play tight end, and he's got some definite skill to him. He's listed about 5'11", 180 pounds, and really strong, very athletic. And we look for him. He's probably going to be one of our starting middle linebackers, probably starting tight end. Just kind of one of those really good kids. He's there every day. He works his tail off. We've got a couple kids. Let's see, Brayley Woods. He's gonna be a sophomore next year. He's probably gonna start at safety for us, and he's another one that. He's about 6'1", 6'2", about 185 pounds. Going to be a sophomore, talented.
A big sophomore.
Talented kid, yeah. No, and he was a really good baseball player. He was one of our better baseball players this year as a freshman. Started on varsity as a freshman in baseball. Just a really good athlete, and he's one of those that he plays football, he plays basketball, he plays baseball. Does some track, stuff like that. So that's what, being in a small school, it's great when you have those kids that can do a little bit of everything. Another one, Gabe Santion, a freshman. He'll probably could possibly be our other starting safety. So we could have two sophomore safety starting next year, possibility-wise. And Gabe's another one that, just needs some varsity experience. But both of them did a really good job at the JV level last year, and they've done a good job this summer, 7-on-7 and weight room and summer conditioning, stuff like that. But we've got a bunch of really good kids that are coming up that are not afraid of hard work.
When you talk about hard work, that district y'all are in is hard work. You got Wall, you got Early, you got Brady. How do you say to these kids, hey, let's go compete with these guys? How do you go into this young group and say, does this maybe change your offense up a little? Does this change how you want to do things? Any having all this athleticism, maybe going up against these schools that what they're everybody knows what Wall is going to do and everything.
Right.
Does that kind of change up how you want to maybe?
Not really. We do what we do. We're kind of one of those that offensively we run the single wing and we're going to run the ball. But to answer your question, yes. In the past, we haven't had your true prototypical quarterback, prototypical wide receivers. In the past, we haven't really thrown and caught the ball very well. Next year, we've got some kids with some size out there that can, have the ability to go up and get a ball. We got some kids that can throw the ball a little bit better than what we've had in the past. So I can see us opening up the offense a little bit more this year.
You got to put that center to use, man.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So we've kind of experimented this spring with some different formations and still staying within our offensive philosophy that we're going to be a run-first team, but we still want to be able to keep the defenses honest with a deep threat from here, every once in a while.
All right, and Coach, getting into that district, your schedule at this point. Is there a particular game that y'all have circled saying we definitely want to win this one, or is it that first game we just want to get back in the win column?
Right. No, I wouldn't say it's any particular game. We just we want to continue to grow and get better every game. We want to use those scrimmages to kind of see and gauge where everybody is and what we need to work on. And then, going into that game, that first game, we play Stanton, and Stanton's always, it's a really good test for us because Stanton they're going to be bigger than us. They're going to be really well coached. They're ground and pound, stuff like that. So it's kind of a good gauge to see where we are from the very jump. And kind of all of our non-district games are we can get something from every team we play, because as soon as we start district, right off of that bye, we open it with Wall. And so it's kind of, you take those first 5 non-district games and you gauge yourself, okay, from week to week, what are our weakest points? What do we need to work on? How is that going to prepare us for week 1 against Wall and so forth? And like you said, our district is tough. From start to finish. TLCA has made major strides the last couple of years. Brady, Ballinger, Early, Wall. They're any given night, it's going to be a tough ball game.
And this will be our last questions here. We always do this on Cover 1. We end the show with just a final thought, a final question. So each of us will ask one more question. I will go first. Coach, we kind of just want to learn a little bit about you. Where did you grow up? Where did you learn how to play football? Where did you learn how to coach football? And why do you do the things you do? Why is your philosophy the way they are?
I got you. Well, I grew up in a small town right outside of Lubbock, Idalou. So I went to Idalou through 8th grade, and then we moved to Canyon by Amarillo, and so I graduated from Canyon High, and just my life has always revolved around sports. I have 2 younger sisters, and they both played at Canyon. They both went on to play college basketball, and my dad actually he played football at Tech during the 70s, and so I grew up a big Texas Tech fan, and my dad was part of the 76 conference championship team at Tech, and so that was a big deal growing up around Lubbock. And, it was kind of one of those deals to where we would go around town and everybody knew who my dad was because he grew up in New Deal just north of Lubbock. And so football was always from a very early age was very important to me. And I played throughout high school. I played for Bill Patterson at Canyon, and we had a lot of success when I was in high school, and just fell in love with the game. And it was one of those deals. My dad was a farmer. My grandparents farmed. Both sides were cotton farmers, and so I always wanted to grow up and I wanted to be a cotton farmer. And my dad and my uncles all told me, you need to go to school. You don't need to farm. There's not a whole lot, for you in farming anymore. And so I knew that if I was going to go to school and I was going to do something, it was going to revolve around sports. And so football was always my first love. And I was very close to my coaches when I played, and the impacts that they made in my life. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go and make relationships with young men and help them become better versions of themselves, because those coaches had such a profound impact on me that I wanted to be able to do the same thing with other young men. And so that's why I do what I do, and that's why I hire coaches on my staff with the similar mindset. I got great assistant coaches, and we're all of the same philosophy that yes, winning football games is great, but when the kids walk across the stage and they graduate and then they come back and they tell you how successful they've been in life, and that we've gotten to be just kind of a small part of that, makes it all worth it. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely did.
Well, this one's going to kind of piggyback off of that question. First off, you've been coaching at Grape Creek 6 years now. What has that community meant to you personally, and what have you learned about yourself coaching out there, coaching these kids from Grape Creek?
It's been, early on it was a struggle. Grape Creek, a lot of people don't realize Grape Creek's it's kind of a hidden gem. Like, people don't understand it. It gets a lot of bad reputation because there are some people that live out there that don't necessarily represent the community in the right light. But those people that you see on the news and stuff like that, they're not part of the Grape Creek ISD family, And what I've found over the 6 years of being out there is the school there at Grape Creek is kind of the heartbeat of that area. Everything revolves around the school. There's not really a community of Grape Creek. There's not a town. It's unincorporated. The school is Grape Creek. Everything revolves around that school. And like you said, I've been there 6 years. Next year will be year 7, 6th as the head football coach, AD. And to my knowledge, 6 years, I'll be the longest tenured head coach in the history of the school, and that means the world to me. Coach Atwood was there for 5 years and did really good things, and I think that has helped, just having the continuity and we haven't had a whole lot of turnover on our staff, and the kids know us and they know the expectation. And even the kids that aren't in athletics, if you walk the halls, if you go to lunch, and you go up to the school, we've got really, really great kids. We got really great kids. Now, the community isn't as involved in extracurricular activities as much as we would like, but as far as support from administration and stuff like that, it's hands down the best I've ever been at. Dr. Smetana, our superintendent, she is a big proponent of athletics, and if you come out there, you'll see. Within the last 5 years, we have a new boys field house. We have a new girls field house. The turf has been there about 5 or 6 years now. We just built a new middle school gym. They just built new tennis courts. So, like I said, she is a huge proponent of athletics and understands the importance of athletics in these students' lives. And I work with great principals. We're all on the same page as far as discipline and what we want out of the kids. So, like I said, I've been there. It's the longest I've been at a job, and I've fallen in love with the place. My kids go out there. I have a daughter that's going to be a third grader next year. My son's going to start kindergarten. They all go to Grape Creek. They love it out there. My wife teaches out there. It's just kind of some place that the school has really, we've made really great friends and really great relationships. And so it's a great place to work and to be.
I know you don't hang out at a school for 6 years if people don't like you out there. I mean, so you obviously have a lot of people who support you.
Absolutely.
Chad?
And Coach, I'm gonna lighten it up just a little bit here with a more fun one. But I know that your offense, in particular, is basically the power O. Like you like ground and pound. But like, what's another scheme that you're just a real big fan of?
I grew up a big Nebraska Cornhuskers fan. I love Tom Osborne. I love option football, and so it's still old school, but it's a little bit different than what we do. But I love just I formation, running the triple option, anything with a fullback, anything where you're, reading a defensive end, reading a linebacker. I love option offenses. So I like even, you watch it hasn't gone away. Not as many people are doing it out of the eye, but you watch like Coastal Carolina, you watch some of those teams that are doing it out of the spread. I love to watch option football.
So when you're playing wall, you're really not too disappointed when you're doing your
no,
film study?
No, I
you're
love
like, oh, this is awesome.
I love what Coach Guy does, man. I'm a big fan of like Army and Navy and Air Force and stuff like that. So no, I love what Coach Guy and Wall does. I'm a big fan of that style of football.
Heck yeah,
like I said, we're trying. Single wing is something that our kids can call their own. It's kind of given us an identity, and our kids have bought in, and so it's, Wall's got the flex bone and the triple option. We've got the single wing.
But there's not a lot. People nowadays, all they do is run the spread. So that gives you an upper hand on your offense, just trying to get the ball in there.
Well, and we feel the same way because basically you get 3 days a week to prepare for somebody, and I know, like I said, we have to prepare for Wall just like they have to prepare for us, and it's hard to get our kids to run something that is different than we do day in and day out to prepare for. So no, it's done well for Wall. We're hoping that the next couple of years it can
do well for y'all as well.
For us.
There you go. Hey man, you grind down the time on the clock, and teams aren't used to that.
Right.
So.
Yeah. All right, well, Coach, we really appreciate you coming on the show. Of course, this is Tanner Thiel, the head coach and the athletic director out there at Grape Creek High School. Coach, you got any final words or final thoughts?
Nope. Excited for next year. I mean, we're already experiencing August weather right now, so it feels like it's football season already. But appreciate you guys.
Right now, can't wait till August.
Might be kind of nice not to be a cotton farmer right now.
That's right. No kidding. But I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, perfect. And we will go back to the studio.